Israel launches its long-planned ground assault on Gaza City. Prosecutors call in South Korea's church leader for questioning. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Sahih and you're watching World Today. Israel has launched its long-planned ground assault on Gaza City and its troops have pressed deep into the densely populated city, which has been subjected to intense bombardment for weeks, triggering the forced displacement of tens of thousands of Palestinians. The launch on Tuesday came on the same day as the United Nations inquiry found that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, home to 2.1 million Palestinians, most of whom have been displaced multiple times during 23 months of war, which has killed nearly 65,000 people. Israel's decision to seize the city, home to more than 1 million people, has drawn global condemnation. Turkey called the ground assault a new phase in Israel's genocide plans. Ankara also warned that it would trigger further mass displacement. Medical officials said that at least 90 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours, 68 of them in Gaza City alone. Emergency services reported that around 20 people were killed in the bombing of the Daraj neighborhood, where entire residential blocks were flattened. The UN Human Rights Office in the occupied Palestinian territory has condemned the Israeli military's wanton destruction of Gaza City as tantamount to ethnic cleansing. In a related development, a UN commission on Tuesday concluded that Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, urging Israel to immediately cease its atrocities in the Palestinian enclave. In a report, the commission said the Israeli authorities and security forces have committed 4 of the 5 acts of genocide. This includes killing, causing serious physical and mental harm, deliberately destroying the living conditions, and implementing measures aimed at preventing fertility. Navi Pillay, chair of the commission, said the top Israeli authorities bear responsibility for the atrocities in the Gaza Strip by planning a genocidal campaign for nearly 2 years with the clear intention of destroying the Palestinian community in the area. Pillay said that Israel had continued its strategy of eliminating Palestinians in Gaza. He added that they blatantly ignoring warnings from the international community and the mandate of the International Court of Justice for interim measures. It also called on its member states to stop transferring arms and other equipment to be used for the Israeli crimes in Gaza. Meanwhile, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Tuesday said what is happening in Gaza is horrendous and that the war in the Palestinian territory is morally, politically and legally intolerable. Expressing hopes for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and a release of hostages, Guterres, however, said Israel doesn't look interested in serious negotiation for ceasefire in Gaza.
What happens in Gaza today is horrendous. We are seeing massive destruction of neighborhoods, now the systematic destruction of Gaza City. We are seeing massive killing of civilians in a way that I do not remember in any conflict since I am Secretary General. And we are seeing dramatic obstacles to the distribution of humanitarian aid. At a certain moment, it completely stopped.
In response to the UN's viability in solving problems, Guterres stressed that the one thing he cannot solve is the capacity of the Security Council. He said paralysis of the Security Council is a source of impunity that undermines the organization's work, adding that it is not the UN, but the member states that are divided that do not allow the UN to work properly. US President Donald Trump arrived in the United Kingdom on Tuesday for a state visit, during which the British government hopes a multi-billion-dollar technology deal will show the transatlantic bond remains strong despite differences over Ukraine, West Asia and the future of the Western alliance. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office said the visit will demonstrate that the UK and US relationship is the strongest in the world, built on 250 years of history and bound by shared values of belief in the rule of law and open markets. However, Trump is bringing demands of his own that the European Union and all NATO nations stop buying Russian oil and that the EU place steep tariffs on China as conditions for him to impose sanctions on Russia. That stance is pretty far from where London or the EU are now. The visit, which kicks into full swing on Wednesday when Trump and First Lady Melania will be the guests of honour of King Charles III and Queen Camilla in Windsor, comes at a torrid time for Starmer. In the last fortnight, Starmer's Deputy Prime Minister and close ally, Angela Rayner, resigned after the House tax scandal, triggering a major cabinet reshuffle. Then, Starmer sacked the UK's ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, over his links to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Microsoft on Tuesday unveiled a plan to spend 30 billion USD in the UK over 4 years, with half of the amount going towards cloud computing and artificial intelligence infrastructure. It is the largest of several pledges from the US tech giants, totaling $42 billion, announced as Trump arrived on a historic second state visit to the UK. The UK and US governments also agreed cooperation over nuclear and space technology as part of the tech prosperity deal. Microsoft said its investment marked the largest financial commitment it had made in the UK. Microsoft employs 6,000 people in the UK, where it runs several data centers, AI research outfits, and video game studios. Another key deal includes British firm N-Scale partnering with OpenAI and chip giant NVIDIA to establish a UK version of Stargate. NVIDIA, working alongside UK firms, pledged to deploy 120,000 advanced GPU chips across the country. Trump will be accompanied by a number of US tech CEOs when he meets with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his country residence on Thursday. The suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk appeared in court Tuesday, charged with the conservative activist murder, as prosecutors said they were seeking the death penalty for a crime that has shaken the United States. Kirk, a close ally of Trump and the founder of student activism group Turning Point USA, was shot dead last week during an event on a Utah University campus. Tyler Robinson, 22, is accused of firing a single bullet from a rooftop, fatally hitting Kirk in the neck in front of thousands of people in an episode that has deepened divisions in an already polarized country. A huge manhunt ended 33 hours later when Robinson's parents persuaded him to turn himself in after seeing photos of the wanted man. Robinson sat passively as District Judge Tony Kraft read out the 7 charges when he appeared in a Utah court. The most serious charge is aggravated murder, while others include obstruction of justice and witness tampering, allegedly for ordering his roommate to stay silent. On Monday, the White House said it would be pursuing an alleged left-wing domestic terror movement in the wake of Kirk's killing, prompting alarm that such a campaign could be used to silence political dissent. The leader of South Korea's Unification Church, Han Hak-ja, appeared for questioning by prosecutors on Wednesday over alleged involvement in bribing the wife of ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol as part of a criminal probe into the former first couple. Han, who is called True Mother by followers, is the widow of Unification Church founder Moon Sung-myung, who died in 2012. A special prosecutor has indicted former First Lady Kim Kyung-hee for bribery and other charges in a widening probe into several charges of wrongdoing by her before and during Yoon's presidency. Kim is accused of receiving bribes worth 57,000 USD that include 2 Chanel bags and a diamond necklace from an official at the Unification Church in return for using her influence to help the church's business interests. Han has also denied personal involvement in any illegal actions, calling allegations against her false information. The official from the church that prosecutors say was behind the bribery has been arrested and indicted on charges including violating anti-graft laws. The Unification Church, formerly called the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, said previously it was deeply regrettable that it failed to prevent the misconduct of a former senior official, but denied any involvement in the case. Up next, China fires water cannon at Philippine ship. Stay tuned.
Peralatan elektrik 5 bintang memberikan penjimatan 5 bintang.
China's Coast Guard fired water cannon on Tuesday at Philippine ships near the disputed Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea, accusing Manila of an illegal intrusion and the ramming of one of its vessels. The confrontation comes a week after China approved plans to turn the shoal into a national nature reserve, a move that defense analysts have warned would test Manila's response over the 150-kilometer triangular chain of reefs and rocks. Simmering tensions over the shoal has led to diplomatic rows in recent years, but no incidents have escalated into armed conflict at the site. Both sides accuse each other of provocations and trespassing in incidents featuring use of water cannon, boat ramming, and maneuvers by China's Coast Guard and the Philippines regards as dangerously close, as well as jet shadowing Philippine aircraft there. Tuesday's encounter involved more than 10 Philippine ships, said Gan Yu, a spokesperson for China's Coast Guard, accusing the vessels of having illegally invaded China's territorial waters of the Scarborough Shoal from different directions. A spokesperson for the Philippine Maritime Council said the statement contained no truth, dismissing it as another case of Chinese disinformation and propaganda. A Colombian court on Tuesday convicted 7 ex-leaders of the defunct Colombian guerrilla army, FARC, over the kidnappings of tens of thousands of people during the group's half-century of war with the state. The court, set up under an historic 2016 peace agreement between the state and FARC, ordered the 7 to make reparations by engaging in 8 years of activities to promote reconciliations and preserve the victims' memories. The former rebel leaders were also ordered to help locate missing victims of the conflict and carry out environmental work, among other methods of restorative justice. Special Jurisdiction for Peace, known by its Spanish acronym JEP, took more than 7 years to issue its funding against the leaders of FARC, a group that terrorized Colombia with a 5-decade campaign of bombings, assassinations and kidnapping. 7 former commanders, including FARC's last leader, Rodrigo Londano Echeverri, alias Timochenko, were found guilty of 21,396 kidnappings. The 7 who were found guilty of war crimes, torture and cruel treatment accepted responsibility for their acts. Their sentence is the maximum provided for under the peace deal. El Salvador's Navy has seized 1.4 tons of drugs floating in the Pacific Ocean in the south of the Central American country. The country's Defense Minister, Vice Admiral Reni Marino, said the recovery suggests traffickers were tipped off about naval operations and abandoned the shipment to escape arrest. According to authorities, the haul was found about 900 nautical miles southwest of El Cornquillo Island last week. Attorney General Rodolfo Delgado said the seizure is part of ongoing investigations into international drug networks.
Ha sido incautada en el marco de investigaciones abiertas sobre redes de tráfico ilícito transnacionales que operan y ponen en riesgo la salud, la paz y la seguridad de toda la región. Cada incautación golpea financieramente a los criminales que quieren seguir lucrándose del narcotráfico. Cada dosis decomisada es un golpe directo a sus ingresos, a sus operaciones, a su capacidad para corromper a los estados.
The Salvadoran government said the drugs, valued at around $35 million, bring the total seized in 2025 to over 21 tons at sea. Since President Nayib Bukele took office, authorities have confiscated more than 71 tons of drugs. Bolivia reiterated on Tuesday that this year the government has seized about 35 metric tons of drugs after the United States said the country had failed demonstrably to uphold counter-narcotics obligations during the past year. Trump administration on Monday included Bolivia in a list of countries having failed demonstrably during the previous 12 months to adhere to their obligations under international counter-narcotics agreements. Afghanistan, Myanmar, Colombia and Venezuela were also included in the declaration. The statement featured in a presidential determination he submitted to the U.S. Congress, which added that U.S. assistance to the country was vital to its interests. Deputy Minister of Interior and Police Johnny Aguilera said that Bolivia is primarily a transit country for synthetic drugs, not a producer, and called for shared responsibility among neighbouring nations and consumer countries. Torrential rains led to floods and landslide on Tuesday in several parts of India, including northeastern Manipur and northern Himachal Pradesh states. The swollen Wanjing and Dhansiri rivers caused flooding in several villages and in Imphal and Golaghat, respectively. Meanwhile, a landslide hit Himachal Pradesh capital, Shimla, which caused extensive damage to houses and property. Several other states such as Punjab and Uttarakhand have faced severe floods this year. At least 40 people have been killed and around 2,000 villages in Punjab have been inundated during this monsoon season, according to local reports. Monsoon is the lifeblood of India's nearly $4 trillion USD economy, delivering almost 70% of the rainfall needed to water farms and replenishing aquifers and reservoirs. However, excessive rain often cause frequent floods. In sports, poor start for JDT in Asian Champions League Elite campaign. Stay tuned.
Liga Super Malaysia 2025. Pertembungan sengit terus membara. The Cats kali ini mengaum di laman sendiri bagi memburu 3 mata penuh di bumi kenyalang. Berdepan gergasi merah dengan reputasi, tradisi dan kuasa yang digeruni. Ahad 21 September, Kuching City FC menentang Selangor FC. 4 petang di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM.
Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Johor Darul Taksim JDT Asian Champions League Elite ACLA campaign got off to a poor start after they fell 2-1 to Thai champions Buriram United in their opening match at the Buriram Stadium last night. It was the 5th ACLA meeting between the clubs since 2017, with Buriram, nicknamed the Thunder Castle, extending their unbeaten run against the Southern Tigers to 3 wins and 2 draws. JDT briefly raised hopes of ending that streak when Christian Claudia stunned the home crowd with a crisp left-footed strike in the 8th minute. But Buriram hit back after the break. Supanat Muenta levelled the score in the 50th minute after being set up by skipper Robert Zulz. 5 minutes later, the pair combined again. This time, Muenta turned provider as Zulz tucked home from close range to complete the turnaround. JDT pushed hard for a late equaliser, but goalkeeper Neil Ettridge pulled off several fine saves to preserve Buriram's lead. The Super League champions will next host J-League side Machida Zelvia at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium on 30th September. Meanwhile, Al Hilal newcomers Darwin Nunes and Theo Hernandez scored in the second half as the Saudi Pro League side fought back to beat Al Duhail 2-1 in their Asian Champions League Elite opener in Riyadh on Tuesday. The Qataris had taken a 37-minute lead through Adil Bulbina. A quick-fire goal from Nunes and Hernandez sealed the points for Simeon Inzaghi's side. Al Hilal move alongside fellow Saudis and defending champions Al Ahly, plus Emirati pairs Sharjah and Al Wahda on 3 points in the Western League standings after the opening round of the matches. The competition is using the Swiss League format to determine the 8 qualifiers for the next phase, which will be played in March from the 12-team opening round. In European football, Kylian Mbappe slammed home 2 penalties for Real Madrid as record 15-time winners opened the Champions League campaign with a controversial 2-1 comeback win over Olympique Marseille on Tuesday. Setia opened the scoring for the French visitors before Mbappe levelled from the spot and Madrid defender Dani Carvajal was sent off for headbutting Marseille goalkeeper Geronimo Rulli. Roberto De Zerbi, enterprising Marseille, was well placed to push for a famous win at the Santiago Bernabeu until Facundo Medina was harshly penalised for a handball. Mbappe converted his second penalty. Madrid finished the second game running with 10 men after Carvajal squared off with Rulli and then pushed his head into the goalkeepers. The second penalty brought up Mbappe's milestone of 50 goals and 64 appearances, the quickest a Madrid player has hit that tally since Cristiano Ronaldo in 2010. In tennis, two heroic 3-hour comebacks from Jasmine Paolini and Elisabetta Concierto saw Italy survive a scar against host China in a grueling quarter-final at the Billie Jean King Cup in Shenzhen on Tuesday. An escape act from Concierto gave the defending champions the opening point, all the while Paolini sealed the victory by defeating Wang Jingqiu. Earlier at the Shenzhen-based Sports Center Arena, in a 2-hour, 52-minute battle, Concierto wiped a 2-5 deficit in the second set and a 0-4 deficit in the decider before securing the victory. Yu was cruising at 6-4, 5-2 before her Italian opponent launched a comeback, taking the next 5 games to level the match. Yu responded by winning the first 14 consecutive points of the third set en route to a 4-0 advantage. But once again, Concierto fought back, clawing her way to 5-5 and claiming a decisive break in the 11th game to deliver a blow to the home fans. Paolini had looked on the brink of defeat when trailing 3-5 in the second set, but the Italian broke back and dominated the tie-break before withstanding a third-set surge from Wang to seal victory. In the semi-finals, Italy will face the winner of Wednesday's clash between Spain and Ukraine. Cordell Tinge took the long road to elite athletics but capped a superb second season as professional by winning 110 meters hurdles gold at the World Championship on another sweltering Tokyo night yesterday. The American was all control and pace as he blazed over the 10 hurdles and held off the fast finishes in the run in to claim his first global title as his first global championship. Tinge clocked 12.99 seconds for gold ahead of the Jamaican duo of Orlando Burnett and Tyler Mason, who each timed personal best of 13.08 seconds and 13.12 seconds respectively. Tinge could not have imagined it would be him in late 2022 when he was a cell phone salesman in his hometown Green Bay, having given up first a college football scholarship and then a shot at Division I athletics. He returned to the track at Pitt State in 2023 and impressed the high hurdles sufficiently to turn professional last year.
2022, at the end of 2022 is when I came back to track and field after leaving it in 2019. So in 3 years to become the world champion, become the best hurdler in the world, run the 4th fastest time all year, win a Diamond League final. Like, it's been a crazy year, crazy season. And this is hopefully the first of many, but at the same time, it's a fantastic way to end the season.
In the men's hammer throw final, Canada's Ethan Kasberg claimed a third global title in 3 years when he launched his second attempt, a massive 84.7 meters for a world championship record that made him the 5th longest thrower in history. The 23-year-old, who was incredibly over 81 meters with all 6 throws, is now a double world champion either side of his Olympic triumph last year. In a final of stellar quality, Germany's Merlin Hummel took silver after he hugely improved his personal best from 81 to 27 to 82.77 meters with his first throw. Hungary's Olympic silver medalist Benz Halas added a third world bronze to his collection with 82.69 meters.
This is what I want as an athlete. I want to be pushed. I want to be challenged. I want it to be a bit of a battle out there, and to have it be an absolute battle for those medals was an absolute. It was an incredible challenge to have. It's super motivating. It's super encouraging. And these guys, they're not going to be throwing less next year. They're going to be throwing more. So to have that and bring that into next season is going to be unbelievable.
In other event, Hamish Kerr secured New Zealand's second gold medal in as many days as a World Championship by winning the men's high jump title. The Olympic champion achieved a winning height of 2.36 meters to continue his country's successful campaign in Tokyo. South Korea's Sun Hyuk-woo earned the silver medal with the best clearance of 2.34 meters. Woo raised the stakes during the competition's thrilling conclusion by skipping 2.36 meters and attempting 2.38 meters. His final attempt proved unsuccessful, allowing Kerr to celebrate by running around the track to applause from the enthusiastic National Stadium crowd. Czech jumper Jen Stella claimed bronze with a height of 2.31 meters on comeback from Ukraine's Ole Doroshuk.
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. You know, to even have one of those titles is something that I'm incredibly grateful for, and beyond my wildest dreams. You know, growing up in New Zealand, you know, just jumping for fun. So yeah, to have all the titles is amazing, and. Not only that, the way I won them, especially tonight, just the way I was able to fight to the bitter end was very, very special. So yeah, I'm super stoked.
76 minit tanpa henti, 76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise. Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam. Malaysia Tonight, 8:30 p.m.
And that's it from us this afternoon in our top story. Israel launches its long-planned ground assault on Gaza City, displacing thousands. Do join us again this evening on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more news. Or you can catch us up on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm Sahih Samsudin, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat Disantuni. Goodbye for now.